with the fate of 140 human beings who are being kept away from their due process rights by the Trump administration and are sitting in the dark, dank prisons and gulags of El Salvador. Their fate hangs in the balance as an appellate court, which is all Trump, Trump, Trump. Yes, Donald Trump pulled 3 cherries straight across. 3 Trump-appointed judges in D.C. have decided to give Donald Trump a temporary win and block another order by Judge Boasberg, the chief judge of the district court, who had ruled with a deadline of today that Donald Trump and his administration provide him with notice about how they plan on facilitating the habeas corpus and due process rights of more than 140 people that they shackled, threw on a plane in the middle of the night, and sent to El Salvador. I'm Michael Popok. I've got the order. I know the lineup. Let's get into it for MeidasTouch and Legal AF. This case has been pending for the last several months, dating back to March. We know it as JGG, everybody being kept anonymous, versus Donald Trump in his official capacity. Judge Boasberg has been presiding over that case. This is everyone not named Abrego Garcia, for those that are following at home. And the judge made a determination on an earlier temporary restraining order back in March and in April that the plane should be grounded, that Donald Trump should not be allowed to exercise the Alien Enemies Act and not continue to whisk these human beings away from their federal rights of due process. And he made an order, and those orders were violated, and the judge moved into a contempt proceeding. And the judge then found on a probable cause that there was criminal contempt committed by the Trump administration. And then he, with that order in place, the Trump administration ran to another panel of the D.C. Court of Appeals, and they stayed that order. Then the case, we have the ruling from the United States Supreme Court, which ruled between a pair of 6-3 decisions, 7-2, and 1-9-0. All these decisions that have come out in the last 3 months all stand for the same proposition, that people can be deported and people can be removed, but people need their due process rights and habeas corpus rights on this side of the country before leaving the country by way of the Trump administration. And so based on those rulings, the American Civil Liberties Union ran back to Judge Boasberg in the JGG case again and said, certify a class of the 140 plus people that are sitting in El Salvador whose rights were denied them because they were sent in the middle of the night with no lawyer, with no notice, with no habeas corpus, and no due process under the Fifth Amendment at all. And the judge said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that, finding that there's been violations of their due process rights consistent with brand new Supreme Court precedent. And he had to make a determination about who's running the show in El Salvador. And the judge realized that it's a ruse that the Trump administration is trying to play up, that they don't have the ability to take back the human beings that they deposited in a foreign country. I don't know which is scarier or worse. That this Trump administration, if they're to be believed, they dropped off other human beings, outsourced them to a country that doesn't share our values, put them in a prison where they did not supervise them consistent with our liberties and didn't keep a receipt. Or they didn't do any of that. I don't know what's worse, that or the fact that they took other human beings in the middle of the night away from federal jurisdiction and oversight and just gave them to the El Salvadorans, but are continuing to retain control over them. But they're housing them in a place that doesn't share our values so they can be tortured. Which is worse? I'm not sure. But we're never going to know for now, because the order by these 3 Trump judges, and let me just talk about random assignment. Okay, I know it doesn't seem random, and sometimes the cruel hand of fate intervenes. But there are a handful of Trump appointees on the D.C. Court of Appeals. That's what we call it, the federal D.C. Court of Appeals. Most of it is moderate and liberal, most of the appointees. But there are a handful of Trumpers, 3 in particular. Judge Katsas, Judge Rayo, and Judge Walker were all Trumpers from the first term. And we've had our issues with Judge Katsas, with Judge Rayo, with Judge Walker, when they've been one or two on various other panels. Usually they're spread out. Sometimes it's Katsas with like a Bush appointee against a Biden or Obama appointee, things like that. But I've seen them be in the majority against democracy, and it's not pretty. It really isn't.
Hey everybody, Ben Meiselas here from the MeidasTouch Network. I wanted to let you know about my podcast partner, Michael Popok's new law firm. It's called the Popok Firm. Michael Popok's pursuing his dream of starting his own law firm, really based on the popular demand by all the Meidas Mighty and legal AFers who are approaching Michael Popok with their cases and saying, can you help us? And at that time, Popok was not able to. So he went out on his own. He started the Popok Firm, where he is now handling catastrophic injury cases like car accident cases, trucking cases, malpractice cases, big negligence cases, wrongful death cases. So if you or someone you know have a case like this, the consultation with Popok's firm is free. Give him a call. See if you have a case. It's thepopokfirm.com, thepopokfirm.com, or you can call 877-POPOK-AF, P-O-P-O-K-A-F. So 1-877-POPOK-AF. Give Michael Popok a call, and I'm really proud of you, Popok. Thanks for all the hard work you're putting in.
So now they've come together. We reported on this, I don't know, up 2 or 3 weeks ago when the selection came in another case. So Katsas, Rayo, Walker are the panel. You know, they are a panel for a number of appeals that came in all and around the same time. That's why we saw that group together already. And these panels get more than one appeal. So this is one of their several appeals that they'll be handling. And the order that they've decided is that they are going to block the judge's order so that the Trump administration by tomorrow does not have to provide any notice to the judge about how they're going to provide due process rights to those 140 plus people in the class he certified at all, until they get around to the full briefing and they get around to hearing the full merits of the appeal. We call procedure. We call merits arguments, merits-based arguments. That's the merits of the case. They're not doing merits, they're doing procedure. But it has the effect of giving Donald Trump a bit of a win. What they're asking for, though, is a relatively fast briefing schedule. They want a response to the emergency petition. So the ACLU will have to respond to Trump's petition by 5 p.m. on Monday. And any reply from the Trump administration will come on Wednesday, June 18th. And then full briefing. Those 3 pieces of paper, that's full briefing. This panel will then decide what the next steps are. It may be to hold oral argument. It may be to extend what effectively is an administrative stay, and extend it and grant the temporary restraining order. I don't think they grant the stay. Sorry, not the protective order. I don't think they grant the stay beyond this administrative stay without an oral argument. I could be wrong. They could look at the papers and go, yeah, we're going to give a stay, and the oral argument is X date from now. Or they can hold the oral argument about whether there should be a stay. Given the appellate posture here, I think they're just going to rule on the papers after the 18th. They're going to, without oral argument, my gut is they're going to grant the stay. They're going to say, again, it's not to be interpreted, but they're going to go through the factor analysis and grant the stay. And then there won't be any requirement. Those 140 men will still stay languishing in a prison in El Salvador nobody cares about, except here on Legal AF, because they are human beings. And until proven guilty, they don't deserve to be in a gulag. So knowing this court, they're going to slow foot this. We'll get an order from them July, maybe August. They'll say, okay, stays in place, and we're putting this on the regular docket. We'll see you in 2026. So again, another year and a half, another 2 years, potentially innocent people sitting in jail. Well, we'll continue to follow all of it right here on the MeidasTouch Network. These kind of decisions, these kind of developments are important at the intersection of law and politics, and we're glad you're here for it. I'm Michael Popok. Legal AF, the podcast, Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on audio podcast platforms of your choice, I have a new podcast. It's called The Intersection with Michael Popok. It's every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the MeidasTouch Network. And then I've got an audio download for The Intersection. And we have daily updates and daily new episodes on The Intersection. Come over there and follow me there. And then we got Legal AF, the YouTube channel, trying hard to get to 700,000 subscribers, all for free before this month is over. We're getting close, but your help is really appreciated. So come on over to Legal AF MTN. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.